Open your kitchen cabinet. Way in the back, behind the salt and the pepper, you'll find it. A small, dusty jar of nutmeg. To you, it's just a garnish for a latte or the smell of Christmas cookies. But 400 years ago, this tiny brown seed was the most dangerous object on the planet. Men didn't just work for this, they murdered for it. Entire civilizations were erased, just so a billionaire in Amsterdam could have a slightly tastier dinner. This seed caused the world's first global corporate war, led to the founding of the richest company in human history. And believe it or not, 'tis the reason New York City isn't a Dutch-speaking colony today. Today, we're uncovering the hidden, violent, and absolutely insane story of the Spice Wars. Welcome to the history of, if you love the stories hidden inside everyday objects. Hit that subscribe button. Let's head back to the year 1600. Imagine it's 1603. London is dying. The bubonic plague is ripping through the streets. And medicine, well, medicine was basically guesswork and prayer. But then, a rumor starts. The most powerful doctors in Europe claim that nutmeg is the only cure. They say its warming properties can drive out the pestilence. Suddenly, everyone, from kings to peasants, is desperate for it. In London, the price of nutmeg skyrocketed by 6,000%. A small bag of it was worth enough to buy a house and a lifetime of servants. It was literally more valuable than gold. But there was a massive problem. No one in Europe actually knew where it came from. For centuries, nutmeg arrived via a chain of secrets. Arab traders brought it to Venice, Venetians sold it to the rest of Europe. But if you asked a trader where the trees grew, they'd tell you stories of sea monsters and poisonous mists to keep you from looking. Meet the VOC, the Verenigd Oostendisch Company, or the Dutch East India Company. You think Apple or Google are powerful? They are nothing compared to the VOC. The Dutch government gave this company the power to build its own forts, mint its own money, and most importantly, start its own wars. Their mission was simple: a total global monopoly on nutmeg. It only grew in one place on Earth, the Banda Islands, a tiny cluster of volcanic islands in modern-day Indonesia. To the local Bandanese people, the trees were a gift from the earth. They traded with everyone, Arabs, Chinese, and English. But the Dutch didn't want to trade. They wanted to own. When the local people resisted, the Dutch commander, Jan Pieterszoon Cohen, led a fleet to the islands not for commerce, but for elimination. Cohen's forces systematically hunted the population. Out of 15,000 Bandanese, only about 1,000 survived the massacre and the subsequent famine. The history of nutmeg isn't written in ink, it's written in blood. But the Dutch had one problem. The British held a tiny rock called the Island of Run. Run was a miserable rock defended by a handful of British soldiers who refused to leave. For decades, this tiny island was the center of a global tug of war. Imagine two of the world's greatest empires fighting a bloody war over a rock you could walk across in 30 minutes. Finally, in 1667, they signed the Treaty of Breda. The British had recently captured a Dutch colony in North America called New Amsterdam. The Dutch made an offer that seemed like a genius move at the time. They said to the British, "You keep that swampy, cold island of New Amsterdam. In exchange, give us the Nutmeg Island." The British agreed. They walked away with a piece of land. They renamed New York. The Dutch walked away with the nutmeg. The Dutch thought they had won the greatest trade in history. But as the centuries passed, the secret leaked. A French spy managed to smuggle seeds out in his clothes, planting them in the Caribbean. Suddenly, the monopoly collapsed. Today, nutmeg is cheap, but every time you taste it, you are tasting the reason why New York is an English-speaking city. You are tasting the legacy of the world's first mega-corporation. The everyday world is never as simple as it looks. Thanks for watching the history of. Let us know in the comments, what's the most boring object in your house? We'll find the epic story behind it.